Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered Odachi build in Nioh 3. This weapon's absolutely absurd. You can just continue spamming attacks like that until you run out of ki. Now the best part about this is it can come online decently early. It's got insane movesets which let you just spam your way through things, and you can also get relatively tanky. And if you get to a boss that is a little bit more challenging, we do have other tricks up our sleeves, so I'll be showing you some ninja tools that we can throw into the mix to make this all that much more powerful. The Odachi is a crazy powerful weapon here, and you got insane amounts of range, and that's really what makes this weapon so powerful, is you can just brute force your way through, kind of similar to the axe. The Odachi's moveset is really powerful here, but low stance is likely where we're going to want to stay. Now with the axe, you're typically going to be at mid stance. This low stance gives us ground sweeper, which you saw there. It's absurd. Basically, whenever you do a quick attack, you then keep spamming your heavy attack button and follow up with these swiping attacks that have a huge hitbox. I also like to pair this with severing blade, so after you do a strong attack, you can press a quick attack to do that attack there. What's great about this is it can close distances pretty quickly because you've got that flying attack like that, so if there's enemies that are moving around, we got an answer to pretty much everything. And that last move there being the devastating rush, which I just find to be a really good one. And we have two crucible skills here that are extremely powerful with soaring foul and the cascading wave. Cascading wave being an attack that you can do when you're up in the air there. And it's a good way to finish off after you do your quick attack and then follow up with a ground sweeper here, because you can start with this by just staggering them, and then if you need to, you can jump up and finish them off just like that. And it's such a low point requirement from the samurai. You literally just come here, get severing blade, and then get ground sweeper right there. Now our stats are going to heavily depend where you're at in the game. Stamina is going to be a big one for depending on our armor that we're wearing. You're going to be mostly looking at where you can see the cumbrance there. We want to keep this below 70% because the Odachi uses a lot of stamina. So that's going to be something we got to keep in mind. Constitution is another really nice one. I'm getting into gear later on. Having a high constitution score can end up giving us a good amount of damage as well. Now skill is nice, but just not on this build. We're going to use some ninjutsu from time to time, but more so to apply statuses. You can bump your magic number up to 40, but we're getting most of our damage straight from our strength and stamina skill. We do want to have some heart here. This is for our ki restoration, recovery speed, and then also things like intellect, so we can use different pickups. Now, most of our points in the early game are going to be into strength, stamina, and constitution, and you can branch out at later levels. And then I would recommend getting up to magic at least 15 just for the more spells that we can get, and I'll get into those in a second. But priority in the early game is mostly going to be stamina and strength, so you can get a good armor set and then have good damage. Now for our Onmyo Box, there's a few really good yang positions. New Peppo is one of the better ones because this gives you Amrita absorption, which can basically give you a ton of sustain. These both will give you extra health too, so you can roll with 2 of these. Personally, I also really like the Raiju soul cores. This gives us increased lightning damage. We can focus a bit on lightning here to slow enemies down, which makes it easier for us to spam with our Odachi. I'll also quickly mention Jakotsu Baba, who's good at applying the water and fire, as well as Sudama soul cores for lightning. And the Blood Edge Demon soul core is pretty powerful. You can get this one. Last recommendation is if you're going against a boss weak to fire, and Nenra's great for boosting up our fire damage, and it applies fire. But I typically just like the 2 new Peppos. Now, our yin position, there's a few really good ones. Now, Life Seal Talisman are very underrated. Basically, if you're going against a humanoid boss and you use this against them, you're going to win. This will make it so that they have a harder time recovering ki, so we can just keep trading blows, kind of like we saw there. And yeah, it deletes all humanoid bosses, especially when combined with a Sloth Talisman, which you get from Darabachi in the Act 1 of the game. This is just going to slow enemies down. It's extremely useful. I can't say enough good things about it. It's super powerful. I like to have at least one familiar, and this is going to change depending on the boss you're going against. So the Kama Taichi here will give you the wind familiar, and Nenra gives you the fire familiar. Raiju will give you the lightning familiar, and Jakotsu Baba gives you the water familiar. I'd highly recommend having at least one of these at all times, so you can use it before you go into a boss arena. When you do heavy attacks, it'll release one of these. They just do a good amount of extra damage for us. I'm also a fan of the barrier. When used, it'll keep your ki recovery speed and allow you to dispel yokai realm just by touching them. Steel Talisman, if you want to trade blows with the enemy, will increase our defense, but I find the axe build better for that. And Extraction Talisman are also very nice because these will allow you to steal Amrita for enemies hit by your attacks. And again, if you have 25, you can unlock another score point there, and then up to 40. 40 is kind of the number you'd want to shoot for into New Game Plus, but I find fine with just 4 to 5 here. Life Seal, Sloth, Extraction, and Wind Familiars being my favorites. You can also throw on the Sudama Soul Core, as their Thunderstorm shot is actually really nice. It's got 8 charges, it can hit twice, sometimes even hit 4 times. but I like this particular loadout here. And now our common skills are where this kind of comes together. The samurai skills obviously very important, but I like Volitional Summoning here, allowing you to use Guardian Spirits. We'll use your Guardian, basically you're moving. This is good because with an Odachi, we want to use our Guardian Spirits to kind of weave in between the attacks. If you run out of ki, you can walk back and then use one of the Spirit Guardians to get some extra damage in. I'll show you those a bit later. We also got the Spirit Ascension here, which charges the Emery to gauge when you're hit with an enemy with a Guardian Spirit skill. These go together very well. I also like the Ki Sapping Follow-Up, so increases damage dealt by melee attacks against enemies that have run out of ki and are in a winded state. Flexibility applies the following damage up to yourself when you use a style shift, which we do shift around, and I'll get to that in a moment. The Tourbillon here, whenever you switch to Samurai style, it applies the enhanced art proficiency to yourself, and then switching to Ninja style gives you ki consumption down. This is good because it's kind of what we want from each of these abilities. And the most important is the Awakening. This lets us use our Onmyo magic faster by a large amount. This will save you, so definitely use it. Now for our samurai skills. Running water is one that I really like. This allows you to do ki pulses just by dodging, so you can get out of the way and give yourself that back. I also have the Unshakable, which reduces damage we take by 10% while we're attacking. We're going to be attacking often, it's just nice to be able to prevent damage a little bit more. Double-edged arts. Now this is an interesting one. So increases the damage dealt by our strong attacks and martial arts by 20% while arts proficiency is active. We take 30% more damage. This is well worth doing because we're going to be outputting a lot more damage this way. The destructive arts, this is our mastery, so increases 10% the amount of elemental damage and status ailment buildup dealt by strong attacks and martial arts when our proficiency is active. This is nice. We're going to be applying statuses, and we want to use statuses quite frequently, especially if we apply 2 of them on the enemy. They get confused and take 40% more damage. It's really nice. We can continue stacking that up. Oppressive Strength is also nice, prevents us from being staggered while strong attacks and martial arts while our proficiency is active. Since we're doing strong attacks often here, this is a good one. And Favorable Wind increases melee damage dealt to enemies affected with status ailments. We're going to have them on the enemy often. And this is kind of combined with our Ninja here, which it's going to be the status applier. We got Wrathful Dragon here, increased damage received elemental on an enemy after you land a hit with ninjutsu. So you throw your things, they take more elemental damage. The Illusionary Dragon there is also kind of nice to take as well. Evasion Expert will increase our opportunity for successful evade. This is good because when we swap to Ninja, we can just dodge our way away. We also have the Counter Offense Evade, which increases the damage dealt by attacks after we do a successful evade, which is now easier. And this will dispel the Yokai realm when we evade. So sometimes switching to Ninja form is just nice because you can throw some tools, evade, and get rid of everything, give yourself a nice boost to your damage. And I also have the Battle Frenzy Kata here, which will increase the damage dealt on an enemy after we do a grapple attack, and Armor Piercer, which will increase damage by final blow and grapple by 10%. So you can swap to Ninja form to do your grapple if you wanted to, which takes us to our Guardian Spirit. There's a few that really work well on the samurai side. Kongo Jishi here, which will give us increased wind damage, doesn't really matter. The life is nice, but it's the damage taken when we're doing our attacks by 10.4%, which is really nice, and guard ki consumption is also reduced as well. This will also increase the damage we do after we deflect, so if you're into that kind of gameplay, you can get a good amount out of this. Kusanagi being another good choice. This will increase our martial arts damage, fire damage reduction, and Spirit Force charge. Also increases arts proficiency damage. And when we're in a ninja form, Shamicharo is really nice because it has a lightning attack we can do from range. So you can swap to your ninja form, do its Strings of Light, which is left bumper plus or Thunderous Performance, left bumper plus Y, and attack from range doing lightning damage. This also gives us faster movement after we evade and ki recovery. So these two, Kongo Jishi and Shamicharo, are amazing. Now for our movesets with the Odachi. So you can get a special skill here, the Dragon Horn, which will replace our grapple. It looks amazing. The Dragon Horn is a crucible skill. This is something you'll have to find from a crucial weapon that has it and get it up to 100% familiarity, but it's nice and worth doing. Most of the time we're playing, we're going to be in our low stance here. So this is, we're going to be mostly focusing for our moveset. Devastating Rush is nice. Some people really like the Moonlit Snow charge. I've also just used regular old Moonlight Snow, especially in the earlier sections of the game. Devastating Rush gives us a charge attack. I personally like it. It just gives us something to close the distance and then lets us move into our ground sweeper. So this, after we do a quick attack, you just continually press Y to the zigzag attack as long as our ki allows it. Crazy powerful. Severing Blade is kind of the opposite. After we do a strong attack, we can follow with a quick attack. This closes distances, kind of similar to Devastating Rush. You can use these interchangeably depending on where the enemies are and kind of what your combos will be. Imperative Strike's kind of cool. You can pull out your sword and do that. But one I want to also mention is the Soaring Foul. So this will plant your Odachi in the ground and fly up into the air. Another crucible skill that I think is nice. It's a little bit better than the Tiger's Blade there. And Retrograde Flow Water. This at least gives us some form of water damage against the enemy, and it gives us a range slash as well. I just find this is a little bit better than the regular old Renegade Flow. And again, this crucible skill, Cascading Wave, is so powerful because when you're up really high, you can do additional damage. So this is one that you want to kind of combo. Our typical combo will be Ground Sweeper into Severing Blade into the Cascading Wave, which ends up looking like this. So you follow up with that attack there. There's the Ground Sweeper, and then we can follow up with that jump attack there. And what's funny is you can do the jump attack multiple times. Now, as far as equipment sets go, there's a lot of really good ones here. I like the Warrior of the East Honor set here. Whenever we have 2 pieces, martial arts damage up by 5%. 3 pieces gives us damage taken -3. Lightning damage up 4% at 4 pieces. Attack bonus based on our constitution C+ at 5 pieces. That's kind of the number you want to shoot for. And then life drain on lightning damage if you equip the spear here, which we're going to be mostly just using. I have Ryomen Sukuna's sword here. You can go with really any of these weapons. Grace of the Benzagton is going to be one of the best choices. That's what I got on this weapon, if you can find that roll. This also has life drain on melee attacks and increased ki. Another armor set I'd like to recommend is the Brave Demon Hunter set. With this set here, you can get a really nice boost. It gives us 150 life with 2 pieces, martial arts damage up 13% with 3, increase cestus damage at 4 pieces, 5 will give us ki restoration, 15% boost, actually huge. 6 pieces gives us martial arts ki consumption down by 15%, and then 7 pieces gives us an attack bonus based on our strength with A scaling. It's actually kind of crazy if you can get the 7 pieces. However, the final sword that you need for this set is really hard to find. I have most of the pieces here, so I wasn't able to get the sword unfortunately at this moment, but it is one that you'd want to equip if you can get it. I'm just like using this one. The Grace of the Benzaiton is solid. And for our ninja equipment, I like the Head of the Yiga Ninja here. This one just gives us, I'm not going to go over all the buffs because we're mostly going to be in samurai form, but this one here is just nice, and especially it's got 2 weapons here, so we're not going to be in our ninja form too much. We're mostly using it for the tools, so having the set bonus makes a lot of sense. I also want to mention the Crimson General set is amazing. You get that kind of earlier on in the game, and it works all the way through the game. And for our like talisman section, this depends on the boss actually, because these have high resistances. You can get like high fire resistance. Some of the Omamari will reduce the damage you take by an element by like 50. So if you have 2 of those, it's reducing the damage like a crazy amount. Some bosses only deal pure damage pretty much. So this can be really nice. I also want to quickly actually mention about mid stance. You can use the Moonlight Snow charge. I also found the Swirling Snow to be a pretty useful ability here because it's just a really powerful way to just like go away and just continue attacking an enemy just by holding down your button there. It's crazy against humanoids. You can see my character doing there until I ran out of ki. That is the Swirling Snow. It is pretty nuts. So you can literally just follow it up just like that as you see there. This is another mindless way to play, so you can use that too if you don't want to use the Ground Sweeper. Both of them are great. Another important part is our ninja tools. The Calamities are my personal favorites. They work really well in a build like this because you only have 2 uses of them, so you don't have to continually keep spamming them. You see, they do insane amounts of damage if you can get that off. I don't even have very high skill stat, and the thing with those is you literally just go in and use them, and then you go back into our samurai form to finish enemies off. And you go into your ninja skills here and you're going over to the far right, and it's Thundering Calamity, Glacial Calamity, Infernal Calamity that are my 3 favorites. You could also use the Tempestuous Calamity, but these are later on in the game. Fire Shuriken and Poison Shuriken are great in the early game for applying fire and poison statuses so that you get a bit of damage over time on the enemy. And I also want to mention that there is a very useful Cicada Shell here, which you can use kind of like a parry, and it'll put you right behind the enemy. You can then swap in your samurai form and get some free back shots. Now for our clan, Toyotomi is a pretty solid one. This gives you life recovery, Emrit absorption, and Emrit earned. This is just a really powerful one in general. Now Toto, this one was actually bugged and it just got fixed. It's still probably the best in the game. This gives a life bonus based on our stamina, and you need a lot of stamina on this build, so it's worth going with. This will also give us an Ninjutsu charge increase, which means we can use the Infernal Calamity a little bit more frequently. And the Kato is another solid one. This will decrease the damage that we take while we're attacking and decrease the damage we take critically. This is good if you like trading blows with the enemy, although I do think that going with Toto is better for more life that we'll get out of this one, and it's actually kind of crazy. By switching to Toto, we now have 3,300 health points or more. So for combat, I would highly recommend the Life Seal Talisman and the Slow Talisman, especially against bosses, because you can literally just walk around them. It becomes so much easier to avoid enemies. But then you can go ahead with engaging with your attacks. We have that charge heavy attack when we're in our low stance. Ground Sweeper is typically going to be what you want to do till you run out of stamina. And the nice thing is you can always keep pulse get it back. We also have the other move here that we can use to engage with, like you see there. And it's nice because you can kind of get a dodge in from it. And yeah, it breaks posture like nobody's business. And the other thing is, if we need to, we can always swap into our ninja form and then get stuck on a brick there. Basically with ninja form, you want to have a way away from the enemy. The Infernal Calamity is nice because you can apply the fire on the ground there, but get in the habit of switching back between them. You can actually heal as you saw there. And jump attacks are our best friend with this setup because, yeah, we do an insane amount of damage. And, yeah, you literally just go into your, use your 2 moves. You either are going to start with a quick attack, move to a heavy attack, and spam the heavy attacks, or you're going to start with a heavy attack and move into quick attacks. And there's the heavy attack into the quick attack there. Especially if you get your arts going, it's just insane amounts of damage. So yeah, that is the most overpowered Odachi build in Nioh 3. It's really fun, and what's crazy is that you do have so many powerful abilities here that you can literally just put it into spam mode in your mid stance if you don't want to think with swirling snow. So you got lots of great stuff here. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Hit the subscribe button below if this video is useful, and I hope you guys all have a great day.